Last week, I was watching a debate with Wits It Gets It that was recently shared on the Flat Earth app. The video itself was on the Chad Preston Official 3 channel, which you can find here. The video quality is poor, but Wits It quickly discussed something very interesting to me. An old NATO microwave communication system called ACE-High, which stands for Allied Command Europe High Band. Let's watch a little bit of the video from Wits It.
The ACE, which is the Allied Command Europe High Band, was a NATO communication system implemented during the Cold War, where they're shooting 50 to 250 miles with microwave transmissions. Microwave transmissions. And again, you can't just cop out by saying refraction and diffraction. It doesn't work like that. So you guys don't know the answer. I can play games with you all night and let you pretend you do, but we're going to cut to the chase and tell you what your religion is. Your religion is that it just magically starts to go out horizontally, and there's a magic area in the atmosphere. Not the ionosphere, mind you. This is like just a couple miles up, where it just hits water in the atmos, then reflects right back down to where it's supposed to go. So if I shoot a microwave directly out horizontally, it'll go 250 miles and just coincidentally land exactly where it's supposed to, because there's magic reflection in the atmosphere. So, and that wouldn't work consistently. This, if you read into the documentation that was recently declassified from this program, it consistently works. You can send these microwaves out over and over and over, and it works every single time, as if it was horizontal.
Now, I'm going to be citing from this article frequently, and I'll have a link in the description. It turns out Wits It was absolutely correct, but it gets even worse for the globe. According to the article, the ACE system was very reliable at 99.9%, and communications could be sent from 50 to 250 miles. It must be noted that microwave transmissions are electromagnetic waves with a frequency of 300 megahertz to 300 gigahertz. Frequencies used by ACE range from 832.56 to 959.28 megahertz. That falls within the UHF, ultra-high frequency spectrum, and UHF signals are narrow and travel in straight lines and are limited to line-of-sight applications, in which the receiver can be seen by the transmitter. Line-of-sight communications are certainly a problem for a globe, where that curvature of the Earth is supposedly bending away from you at roughly 8 inches per mile squared. The curve should begin blocking line-of-sight transmissions at the last visible edge of the globe called the horizon. For example, if you use a globe Earth curvature calculator like this one, a tower at 200 feet above sea level would be severely limited when attempting a line-of-sight transmission beyond the geometric edge of the globe. That would be closer than 17 miles. In addition to all other obstructions and the Fresnel zone, at a mere distance of 17 miles, the curvature of the Earth would begin blocking any transmission as shown in this illustration. But if the target receiver was 250 miles away, like the towers in the ACE system, the target receiver would be obstructed by a shadow of the Earth that is 36,000 feet tall. There is no mountain on Earth that would be tall enough to get a tower 36,000 feet high. The ACE system was in 9 different NATO countries, from England to northern Norway through Central Europe to Turkey. I did find this Wikipedia article helpful in finding the actual locations of many of these communication towers, but I was mostly interested in this map here from the article, showing the ones in England and Western Europe. But I went ahead and mapped each of these locations on Google Earth, and I have the coordinates to all of the actual sites listed there if you want to do some follow-up research. Many of those communications should be blocked by the curvature of the Earth. For example, the one on the top right from Kollafirth Hill in the Shetland Islands to Sola, Norway is a big one. Those microwave towers, according to Google Earth, are at a distance of 262 miles. The elevation there at the Sola, Norway location is 2,615 feet above sea level. Adding 150 feet for the array gives us an observation height of 2,765 feet. To maintain a line of sight with Kollafirth Hill, the tower in the Shetland Islands would have to be 26,000 feet high. Unfortunately for the globe, Kollafirth Hill only has an elevation of 785 feet. Other distances between the towers were from approximately 40 to 200 miles. But let's get to the big one. Ringstead Bay in southern England to Monte Gormendi in Spain. This one doesn't show up on all of the ACE maps because it wasn't technically part of ACE, and so it makes sense why it has been overlooked, but it was still used in the network and used the same technology. Here's an excerpt from Wikipedia confirming the same. Finding the exact location of the Ringstead site was a bit tricky since it's not listed as an ACE site. But here is a photo of the Ringstead location back in 1970. This article also confirms the link between Ringstead and Gormendi did exist. Looking at the photograph of the two aerials, I was able to pinpoint the location of the Ringstead station on Google Earth, right where the yellow place mark is. I am definitely close on the map when you compare the photograph with Google Earth. Here's the location on Google Earth with the coordinates that I used, but I could be slightly off. The elevation there is at around 55 feet, and we'll add 150 feet for the height of the aerials, which gives us a total height of 205 feet. And that seems to match the photograph. But you could add 1,000 feet, and it wouldn't make a difference. Next, let's look at Monte Gormendi, Spain. I was able to find the exact location of the Gormendi station from this German article. The elevation at that point is 3,481 feet, and we'll again add another 150 feet for the aerials to get a height of 3,631 feet. The distance between Ringstead and Gormendi is 515 miles according to Google Earth. I've also included the elevation profile here. Notice that there is a direct line of sight between Ringstead and Gormendi on a flat Earth. With a microwave height of 3,631 feet above sea level and a distance of 515 miles, you get a whopping target hidden height of 129,415 feet, or 39,465 meters. That means, on the globe, the Ringstead Tower in southern England would have to be 24.5 miles tall to have line of sight with Gormendi, but the Ringstead aerials were only 205 feet high. Obviously, the globe fails. Of course, whenever the curvature disappears, the globe propagandists have a reason why. For example, the curvature of the Earth disappeared when Guglielmo Marconi sent that transmission over 2,000 miles. Naysayers said the curvature of the Earth would block the transmission. Instead, the curvature somehow disappeared, and the ionosphere theory was created. The curvature seemingly disappeared when the Lorentz system used triangulation to locate ships over 1,000 miles away from the towers. In this case, the radio signals didn't bounce off anything, but were said to inexplicably hug the curvature of the Earth. How triangulation over 1,000 miles works on a ball and a vastly curved baseline isn't explained. We have repeatedly discussed the World War II German Knickebein system, which used line-of-sight bombing beams that were hundreds of miles away from the target locations. For some reason, the curvature disappeared for those line-of-sight bombing beams as well. How about the fact that sonar technicians have stated that there is no sonar acoustic Earth curvature shadow? The curvature disappears there too. How about the U.S. government's SOSUS submarine surveillance program that could monitor submarines thousands of miles away from the recording devices by way of triangulation? How triangulation based only on a math, assuming a flat Earth, could work on a globe with objects thousands of miles away is never explained. Again, the curvature disappeared without a trace. Maybe you remember the fact that humpback whales can communicate over 4,000 miles away. Why doesn't the 500-mile-high Earth bulge between the whales affect the communications? Seems like the alleged 1,800-mile-tall Earth curve acoustic shadow just disappeared. Do you remember the record 830-mile line-of-sight LoRa transmission at sea level? Again, the curvature disappeared, even though LoRa is likewise a line-of-sight communication. How about the fact that the curvature of the Earth does not produce an upward bulge shadow visible on the clouds at sunset and sunrise? The curvature of the Earth disappears there too. What about aircraft, especially the SR-71, which has a top speed of 2,200 miles per hour? That would require some curvature adjustment of around 22,000 feet in just 5 minutes of flight. Again, the curvature disappeared, and the globe propagandists vie for the most plausible explanation as to why the curve keeps disappearing, regardless of the speed of the flight or the plane's altitude. What about the gyroscopic attitude indicator in an airplane? It should continually rise as the airplane is allegedly adjusting for the curvature of the Earth. Again, there's some automatic curvature removing device that fixes that one. What about this high-altitude balloon footage at around 120,000 feet? No curvature there either. No visible curvature at even an alleged 329,000 feet. Look at this video from BMLSB 69 viewing the Anacapa Arch in California at a distance of 31.8 miles with a camera height of 1.5 feet. 612 feet should have been hidden behind the bulge. Again, the curvature disappeared without a trace. Could you imagine if you're making a long-distance observation at this man holding a child, and someone told you that the man is actually hidden behind a house at the horizon that's blocking your view, but the house just disappeared due to refraction, leaving a person behind the house unaffected? You would rightfully think they were insane. I guess a disappearing curve seems more plausible for some reason, but I still think it's stupid. But with all of these examples, did you happen to notice a common theme here? The curvature of the Earth always seems to disappear, and it doesn't matter how implausible the explanation. There's always something that allows the massive curvature of the Earth to disappear without a trace, and that should cause any thinking, independently minded person to begin questioning the globe narrative. But let's get back to the Ace High communication system. The official story as to how Ringstead was able to communicate with Gortamendi at a UHF line-of-sight frequency was due to refraction, which is technically called tropospheric scatter. Just to be clear, the troposphere is where we live. It starts at the ground and rises to about 33,000 feet. According to the official story, the microwave signal is pointed just above the horizon. Let me emphasize that pointing the signal at just above the horizon just so happens to be the same place you'd point the signal if the Earth were flat. But the story is that the once line-of-sight signal pointed just above the horizon refracts or scatters off of the moisture in the air and comes back down at the receiving tower 515 miles away. It doesn't matter if it's 100 miles or 515 miles. It just so happens that the signal bounces off of the air we breathe and hits the other tower hidden by the massive alleged curve of the Earth. If that were the case, then you wouldn't need line of sight for any microwave communications, as those signals would be scattering everywhere, and you wouldn't even need the signals to line up anymore. Furthermore, how could the system be reliable at 99.9% when it relies on microwave signals bouncing off of moisture in the air? Especially since that would fluctuate tremendously. Just like with long-distance observations, it seems the refraction excuse just happens to inexplicably fix the globe when the curvature needs to disappear to maintain that globe illusion. I couldn't find too much information on the Pacific scatter system, but look at this map. Some of those communications were over 1,300 miles at VHF frequencies, which are supposed to penetrate the ionosphere. A distance of 1,350 miles would require curvature drop around 223 miles. Again, the curve just disappeared. I don't know how many people who are watching this video that are genuinely considering the flat Earth, but how many ridiculous explanations for the disappearing curve are you going to accept before you allow yourself to question the globe narrative? Please think about it. There truly is no Earth curvature. It's time to let go of the ball and embrace our flat Earth reality. Thanks for watching.